Hey, this is AverageJohn coming at you with another video of what I have read this week. Now, this week I read 10 comics, ranging from DC all the way to Marvel to Dark Horse to Scout Comics. So I've read quite a bit, quite a range. So, short intro. So let's get on. But before we get on, these are my notes. And I'm going to go into the spoiler section. So if you haven't read Batman vs. Bigby Number Two, Absolute Carnage, Captain Marvel one-shot, The Adventures of Byron one-shot, The Army of Darkness 1979 number 1, Curve Stomp number 1, Trailer Park Boys Get a Fucking Comic Book, and Tales of Good Old Snoop, Doggy, Dogg, Terminator Sector War number 1, and Shazam number 1 of Volume 4. If you haven't read any of these stories, don't want to get spoiled, then what I suggest you do, now you can pause the video, and like this video, go to my channel, watch my other videos, read the stories, subscribe to my channel, and come back to this video, and then you can resume the rest of it. That's my plan, that's my offer for you, because if you don't want to get spoiled, then I'm going to go into the spoiler zone. Or if you don't want to get spoiled, then leave. Bye bye. Because I'm going in there now. And also Gunslinger Spawn number 1. But alright, I've distracted you for a little bit. Let you know, this is the spoiler section. I want to talk about these stories. Alright, so first you got Batman vs. Bigby Number 2, May 2021 by DC, or DC's Black Label. So you got Batman, or Bruce Wayne, notified that the Batcave is completely broken. It's completely a mess. He's notified of this by Alfred. The Batman figures the prisoner escaped. Well, he has escaped. Bigby Wolf has escaped. So Batman goes to Robin, or Dick Grayson, who is training fighters, maybe potential vigilantes, maybe potential Robins. But training them nonetheless. He can't go with Batman right now to do his mission or whatever. Bigby meets up with Molly Grace, who is Cinderella, or Cindy. And she tells him some info about a secret, powerful book that they're tracking. Also about Commissioner Gordon, who is okay by her standards, and Batman, who is, maybe good, maybe bad, still don't know. Also tells them about an exclusive exchange going on, a floating location. Floating meaning it's literally floating. It's literally then going from place to place. And I might be able to tell them a bit more. There's an hour left before the incident. Bruce Wayne is at Gotham City Hall hosting a library fundraiser. Bigby is also there and instantly makes a connection between him and Batman and the same scent. You can't fool the scent. They meet. He talks about Mondays, which Mondays are humans, and Operation Alexandria starts with a bang. That's the incident. There are literally explosions all around Gotham City, and no one knows what the hell is happening. What is happening? Who knows? But that's where the story ends. Next we have Absolute Carnage, Captain Marvel, the one-shot right here, the number 1, May 2020 by Marvel. This is a short little story. Like, so Carnage, of course, is symbiote, parted of Venom. He's a red symbiote, which apparently are hard symbiotes, are harder, stronger, harder, better, faster, stronger. But they need a host to survive, to thrive. And they need the codices or codexes. A lot of them, some of the godless symbiotes, who is null. So Carnage is trying to grab a lot of codexes, which I think are the back of the neck people. He's trying to gather a lot of them to summon null. And that's what Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, tends to do. Well, not Cletus Cassidy, but Carnage. I've put Cletus here. But why start small? We can start big. That is right. That's right. He's going for Captain Marvel. But not this. But more discreetly than you might think. He's not going right after her. He goes for her cat and another alien species. Now he's a Florkin. He's Chewie. So he goes after the cat first. He goes after Chewie first. So he infects her and tries to kill Carol Danvers when she arrives home. Of course, Carol doesn't want to do any damage. It's still her cat. But her cat eats her. She flies into her cat. Whatever. And there's a pocket dimension inside of Chewie that she flies into. She meets Carnage there. She tries to separate Carnage from her. She is successful. Chewie then throws up Captain Marvel and Carnage, and she throws Carnage into the sky, into space, and all as well. At least for now. At least for now. And then into that. Next, we have The Adventures of Byron. It was a one-shot made in 2020 by Scout Comics. These two monster dudes, Brian and Oswald. Byron and Oswald. Oswald is a monster rabbit, and Byron is just a monster. And they just be causing shenanigans. Tons and tons of shenanigans. They transport into the human world and steal a lot of socks. But only one pair. Only one of the pair. One of each pair. Eventually leads them to have stolen 400 socks. After they'd done all this, they decided to go home and rest for a bit. It was hard work. But then mysterious things started happening. Like, lamps start breaking. Brooms start shaking. Only one logical explanation for this. David Hassel. Ghost socks. It's ghost socks. Obviously, it's ghost socks. Why would it be anything else? So Brian and Oswald got his thoughts and decided to let's call Paxton. Paxton, of course, being a super intelligent octopus. Of course, why wouldn't you know that? He always comes up with the greatest ideas. They get to his lab, and wouldn't you know it, he's got the perfect invention. The socculator. It's a thingy that can suck up socks. It's like a washing machine with a hose. So they get home with it and suck up all 400 socks and return them, and all is well. The spooky skeleton that's been narrating the whole story is called Bartholomew, and says the moral of the story is not to steal, especially since you don't know what you're stealing and what they can do. Morals. And that ends that story. Next one is Army of Darkness, 1979, number 1, 2021, made by Dynamite Comics. It's 1979. There's a lot of gangs and violence in the South Bronx, but only one gang can have all the turf. The Dominoes want it. They want it bad. They have to face the warlords who are like supernatural or whatever. It's 2021. Ash Williams is applying for a lumberjack job. Why wouldn't he? He's got a chainsaw for an arm, after all. He gets the job, but just as he accepts, a mysterious portal opens up and sucks Ash in. Drags Ash back to New York in 1979. Now he finds that through all this, he's attacked and all that stuff, and he comes to realize that the warlords are using this book called the Necronomicon to use their magical powers. The Necronomicon is a very powerful book that can raise the dead. So maybe that's how they're getting all their members. It's just it's actually just a whole bunch of dark magic. It's not good. Not good. He's about to embark on another quest to clear his name, save the city, save himself, maybe save 1979. Groovy. And that ends that story. Next, we have Curb Stomp number 1, made in 2015 by Boom Studios. So there's this place called Old Beach, a place that's pretty lawless, so gangs have to make sure that people keep the peace there. The Fever is one such gang, made up of strong girls like Machete Betty, Daisy Chain, Violet Volt, Derby Girl, and Bloody Mary. Just having a good time, chilling, singing Black Flag songs, just chilling, drinking, pretty much. Alright, there's another gang that's talking with the mayor about a plan. Tourism, cleaning up the streets, whatnot. Wraith is teaming up with the Wayside of 5, and they want to especially take down the Fever. And the Fever is just protecting the people. They're not doing anything wrong, really. They're not doing anything unless they get attacked first or whatever, and that's self-defense. But the Wraith and Bayside 5, they want to take them out. They want to start something called gentrification, pretty much, in Old Beach. They want to set it up for tourism. They don't need any crime there. But that's that story. Next one is Gunslinger Spawn number 1, made in 2021 by Image. Now, Gunslinger somehow gets into a portal that transports him from 1864 to 2021. Another story about portals. He's trying to get adjusted in a technology-dependent world. Trying to figure out gas for his motorcycle, which is completely badass, by the way. And he's trying to figure out about this dang Google thing, He's like, what's that Google? He runs into a teenager called Taylor Bartlett, right? He just goes to the gas station, tells him all this stuff. He answers Gunslinger's questions, no matter how odd they are. Gunslinger offers him a ride home, which he declines, saying his dad doesn't like him, just randomly arriving with no notice. Gunslinger gives him a ride anyway, and we find out why he doesn't like being unnoticed. He's in a meeting with some actual angels. And then we get to the lynching. And it has a couple of short stories with it, so the first one's called The Lynching. Now, it was like back in 1856, before Gunslinger was transported to the future, the Bartlett boys were reported missing. So Gunslinger takes a look. They've been lynched by the Sutton boys, so Gunslinger makes them trade places, pretty much. A short story there. Next, our story is weapons. A Gunslinger has an special bullets to kill angels, but he has to be careful, because the thing that grants him the most strength is also weakening him. It's his own blood. That's that short story. The next short story is called A Stupid Gift. In 1853, 5 years after the Mexican-American War, afterwards America acquired some land that was owned by Mexico. In a bar in one of the territories, a man gets rowdy when a 12-year-old accidentally spills a bit of his drink. Starts hassling him when Gunslinger interrupts and says, "Let go of the boy." Everyone understands, of course, except for this old man. Of course, there's a duel. Gunslinger wins. It turns out that the symbol he was carving on the table he was sitting at was a warning that war is coming. And that ends that short story and ends that comic. This is one of my favorite comics right here. This upcoming one I'm saying, just to let you know. And also, maybe I do get a little explicit here. So, but this is an awesome comic. It's Trailer Park Boys. Get a fucking comic book 2021 by Devil's Due. Main story. There's the main story followed by a last short story having to do with Sunnyvale Trailer Park. So Bubbles finds a t-shirt gun just randomly lying around, brings back to Sunnyvale Trailer Park to Ricky and Julian. They find it cool, but Ricky wants to find a way to ruin Leahy's day with it. He ruins all of Bubbles' interesting finds like that. Ruined a paintball gun by shooting Leahy's house with it. He ruined a helium tank by pumping balloons with the fuck Leahy printed on them. So how's he going to ruin the t-shirt gun? By putting a potato in it and shooting it through Leahy's window. Then accidentally inserts some girl who says, "No, I hate free t-shirts." The gang ponders who the fuck would actually hate free t-shirts until they learn that there's a recent man who used t-shirt king has a murder weapon. And then we get to the short story, The Spectacular Boom. Now the gang is running a yard sale to get some fast money, but they have worked this shit. Now so they're making nothing. Randy has a huge comic book collection, and they're selling high these days. A lot of comics are selling high, especially the old ones. So they get the idea to rob it. Since Bubbles heard it, he's directing them and being their lookout. He tells them trailer 24. That's actually Coy's trailer. He wonders if they're trying to find Randy to suck at a dick. But he tells him Randy's number is 42, not 24. They get there and Ricky uses some sparkler bombs to gain access. Stuffs sparklers and hairspray. Everything explodes. Some comics survive and they end up just making $15 for the whole batch. The next one's just a little title. And it's just like, it just basically says, "Oh shit, Leahy and Randy stole Bubbles' bus and crashed into the trailer. Now there's fucking chaos everywhere. Can you help?" And that's the title. And this is a short story. I don't know what the title is for this one, but it's a short story. A little story where an asteroid crashes down. Ricky finds stuff first and exclaims, "Well, suck my tits and finger my cock." But Julie and Bubbles soon find this, and then they'll soon follow. And like, "Where's Ricky?" Well, Bubbles puts a whole bag of fresh gorilla dicks that he's somewhere near here. Julian's just like, "What?" But yeah, this huge marijuana field. Turns out, of course, Ricky's in it. Of course, why wouldn't he be? But, yeah. Smoking the weed actually grants him powers. Bubbles has laser vision, Jolene has super strength, and Ricky has weed bending, or basically telekinesis with weed. And Randy has stolen some and shares it with Leahy. And there's a big, super-powered fight in the trailer park. And the two, Randy and Leahy, versus the three, Bubbles, Ricky, and Julian. And Leahy sends out a hurricane-nado. The hurricane makes the tornado. And Randy starts shooting them with cheeseburger beams. Then Leahy starts to touch the trailer and crushes them with it. Ricky then wakes up. He fell asleep reading Randy's comic books. Fell asleep in his car reading Randy's comic books. Alright. That ends that story. Next one is Sammy and the Trailer Park Boys. So Bubbles is just wandering about and finds a Sasquatch. Instead of running away like he should do, he gets stoned and walks back to Ricky and Julian. Julian flips and tells Bubbles to get rid of it because Leahy will have a fit if he sees it. So they decide to get rid of it after they have some barbecue, and they try to disguise it to look more like Julian. Of course, Leahy finds out, and then they let him go. Short, simple story. Another story. One day in a stormy night in Sunnyvale Trailer Park. Bubbles gets a new game. It starts playing on a dark and stormy night. The lightning hits and all of a sudden Bubbles is transported into the game. Fork knife. That's what Ricky calls it. Bubbles actually runs into Ricky and Julian in the game. He goes into a place called Ricky's Bar. Ricky opposes being in the game at first, but then starts to love it when he finds out that it's a Battle Royale game, and starts to exclaim, "I love Fork Knife." And that's the end of that story, that little story. This other little story that's in it is just titled, "I Don't Need a Fucking Girlfriend," which Bubbles and Ricky are going to collect cans to sell, like they always do, but the cans are being taken by some mysterious homeless woman who has tons of dogs. Bubbles hates her at first, but then the cats and dogs start to get along, and she offers him homemade weed and walnut brownies. She's arrested, and I assume she's never seen again. I assume. Last but I think this is the last story. The last story, last but not least, got Bitcoins. So, J-Rock comes driving by with a pretty cool ride. It says red, but it's all souped up. The gang wonders how he came up with all the money. Turns out they sold this house to some dude who just wanted it. Didn't even want to take a look at it. Just wanted it. Ricky, of course, wants to break in and steal shit. Of course, that's natural Ricky. They do that later that night. Turns out they were mining Bitcoin and a bunch of servers out there mining Bitcoin. Since Ricky can't understand what Bitcoin is and doesn't like people actually succeeding with their goals, he pisses over everything, then he destroys everything. And boys get out there and just start playing space, pretty much. Which is just, they're all pretend astronauts just going to the moon. And that ends that comic book right there. But I still got more comics to go. I got, like, this one. It's Tales of Good Old Snoop Doggy Dogg, made in 2009 by Birdhouse Bottom Comics. There's a bunch of dreams that the author actually had that Snoop Dogg was in. Like in February 26, 2002. The author has a random dream about him and Snoop Dogg on a trampoline having random conversations, ones in which toilets might be involved. And then we got December 26, 2006. The author has another random dream where he runs an art supply store. Steely Dan is playing. He hates Steely Dan, so he goes to play Duran Duran when Snoop Dogg randomly comes in and starts asking questions about Steely Dan. He was generally curious. And October 14th, 2007. The author has a dream where he's walking down the street and Snoop Dogg invites him to the painting workshop that he's running. Unbeknownst, it's out of his own house where there's going to be more people arriving. It's a very small room, too. Then there's a short story, an actual short story, where the author tells us how he got introduced to Snoop Dogg in the first place. Now that's actually real life, not a dream. And he had this friend, a bad boy named Sean, who got him to go to this party. He was introverted, so he sat on the couch by himself until this girl came to him and started talking to him about random and cool stuff. That's when Snoop Dogg came on. He started vibing, and then some guys took his girl away and actually got into a fight with them. From that day on, he was never allowed to hang out with Sean again. But he still loves Snoop Dogg. Hey. And that ends that story. It's that comic. Next we have Terminator Sector War Number 1, made in 2018 by Dark Horse. And it's New York City, 1984. Normal day, normal night. A mysterious man teleports there. Man looking for clues, for weapons, for vehicles, for a girl named Lucy Castro. Why is he looking for her? Well, she's the mother of his son that's in the future assistance. But she isn't pregnant. Well, she is. Unfortunately, Will, who is the father, won't be meeting his son since he is thrown literally out of the picture by the Terminator. Presumably killed. Presumably. How is she going to survive to give birth to part of the resistance? Alright, that inside story. And then last but not least, we got Shazam, number 1, Volume 4, 2021 by DC. And we're in New York, Wizard Titans, Nightcrawler, Raven, Beast Boy, Birdhouse, and others. And they're facing an ugly, horrible, toxic monster in a horrible suit named Chemo. Shazam comes in to help, gets one punch in, and starts to feel woozy, passes out. And as he's passed out, he switches back to Billy Batson and starts to fall. The Titans catch him and get him back to the tower. Back there, he wakes up and wonders why he keeps losing his powers. He wonders this a lot. He also wonders where the wizard has disappeared to. He starts meditating with Raven, and he finds out the Rock of Eternity has been moved somewhere. But where? He goes to his room where Miguel is, and wants to use his H-phone. I don't know what H-phone is, but Miguel says no, because harmful people who already have powers. And then, awkwardly runs out of the room when he tells Billy that Mary, his older adoptive sister, is here. She tells him that Freddy in the hospital looks bad. Billy wanders around the tower for a bit and eavesdrops on a meeting. A mission briefing. A secret mission briefing. Run by the one and only Dr. Fate. We see Cyborg here too. Apparently there's something coming at an alarmingly fast rate. It's ripped through the space-time barrier, destroyed the Green Lantern core battery on our way, and even displaced the Rock of Eternity to the underrealm, which is hell. That's why it's affecting Billy. It also affects everyone who he shares his powers with, like Freddy. So maybe that's why Freddy's in the hospital. Maybe these two events are connected. But the Titans don't want to go there just yet, and they don't know that Billy is eavesdropping. They need to research on the thing first. They don't want Billy to go on guns charging, or whatever. Billy doesn't care. He's going after the Rock to put it back in the center of the multiverse, to help him gain his powers and help Freddy. But how is he going to get to hell? He could go through Doom's doorway in the Myscaria, Wonder Woman's territory. Or Dane, who's Raven Star people, just conjure up a portal right then and there. Spoiler section over. And I realized I didn't show you any of the comics. So, that is a bad thing on my part. But I got them right here. So this is Batman vs. Bigby Number Two by DC. This is Absolute Carnage, Captain Marvel Number 1 by Marvel. Adventures of Byron, one shot by Scout Comics. Army of Darkness 1979, Number 1 by Dynamite. Gunslinger Spawn, Number 1 by Image. Stomp, Number 1 by Boom Studios. Trailer Park Boys, Get a Fucking Comic Book by Devil's Due. Tales of Good Old Snoop and Dogg by Birdhouse Bottom Comics. The Terminator Sector War, Number 1 by Dark Horse Comics. And Shazam #1 by DC. Of course, and there's a lot of good stories here, but of course I want to say my #1s are between, actually, of course, Batman vs. Bigby #2 and Trailer Park Boys. I don't know, Trailer Park Boys might just take it or cement that on the other side. But yeah, Trailer Park Boys just is so much like the show. If you don't like the show, really, then you won't like this comic book. But I love it. I just love this comic book. It's basically one of the crudest television shows on Netflix. The only thing that I can think of is just as crude as It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and that's on Hulu, I think. They're really good shows, and the comic just pretty much is just like it. I don't know, it's undescribable. It's really good. And of course, Batman vs. Bigby #2. It's just like the Fables comic, pretty much. Just like if they dove into each other's worlds. But what's your favorite story? And you can either tell me in the comments, or of course, you can reach me on my socials. I'm on Instagram at TRIPL3XXXMayhem. I'm on Twitter at RealAverageJohn. On Facebook at OfficialAverageJohn. And like I always say, don't worry if you can't understand me. I'm always in the description down below. Alright. But was nothing else to add. I will see you guys on Monday with an episode based around Hellboy. Toodaloo. Ciao. Adios.